Tommy Robinson, welcome back to the Jerusalem Post.
It's good to be here.
Who would have thought that a month ago when we had our first interview that you'd be sitting here, we'd be face to face in Israel, and not only that, would you be invited by one of our ministers, Amichai Shikli, to come and basically tour Israel. What has this experience been like for you?
It's been beautiful. I've been shown a lot of love from the minute I stepped off the plane. It's been surprising for me. I think it's sad as well. I think it's sad when I see some of the Israelis here or British Jews who seem just so happy that someone is speaking up for them and not joining the campaign against them or remaining silent about it. So I think it's a bit sad because I think that all I'm doing, and I keep saying, you don't need to thank me. I'm just telling the truth. And I come here in 2016, as I said to you last time, on a fact-finding mission to ask questions.
Yeah.
This time, I'm here as a guest of the state of Israel, but I'm also here as a journalist. So I've been making content, asking questions. I've done the same again today.
That's what I wanted to ask you about, because I know when you said that you were here in 2016, you basically came here because you wanted to see with your own eyes what was going on here. Now in 2025, we're 2 years after October 7th. Has your perception of Israel changed?
Has my perception of Israel changed? I think Israel's losing the propaganda war. I think they're losing heavy. I think they're losing as people and countries and the next generation are being turned against them. And they're being turned against them by a well-oiled machine. And I think that they need to play catch-up in portraying to the public what Israel is, what it is you face, how it is you live. So I first come here in 2016 to see how you live. The reason being that I'm from Luton Town, surrounded by terrorists. Our country has imported terrorists and jihad and mindsets and organisations, and whether it be Al Mujahideen or whether it be the Muslim Brotherhood, they're all there. They have bases across the West now. So I wanted to see how you survive. And the first thing I saw when I come here was your bus stops. And I saw the concrete bollards. And I remember getting out at the time saying, well, this is our future. This is how we're going to have to live. Fast forward now, look at Manchester, look at every city across the UK. In fact, Christmas markets are getting cancelled, religious festivals are being cancelled. But if they're not, then we have armed police, we have bollards, like I like to call them diversity barriers. So I come here to see how you live and understand how you live. Now, even this street we're on, as you walk out of here, we've had the Raise the Colours campaign in the UK, which is about restoring identity and culture and celebration of who we are, flags. You, as a nation, you have one thing that brings you all together, and you're at risk, you're at danger, you're constantly battling to survive. So you have that brotherhood, that community, that identity. Something we lost. So again, we can learn a lot from the state of Israel and their pride in who they are and the strength. So on this visit, I think it's important for the public to understand what it's like in Israel, because when I come here last time, I asked lots of questions of Arab Muslims that lived here.
Yeah.
I went to a Fatah-controlled refugee camp in Bethlehem and spent a day there, asking them questions, finding out who's oppressing them, and everything I thought I knew or everything I'd been told was the opposite. So I've come here this time to relay video content, to ask questions, to see what I find.
Have you spoken to Palestinians on this trip?
I have today. I've been into the Muslim Quarter in Jerusalem to speak to people who identify themselves as Palestinians living in the state of Israel, Muslims, to ask them what it's like, to ask them where they'd rather live. Would they rather live here under the state of Israel or in Ramallah under the Palestinian Authority? These sorts of questions. And I think it's, and do you know what will come back from those Muslims? Because I explained to them, look, I'm from the UK. Muslims in the UK hate Israel, okay? They hate Israel. That all the Muslims I met today do not hate Israel, yeah? They said they're happy here, bless Allah that I live here, thank God that I live here. It was the total opposite again. So I think there'll be a difference, which I'm looking forward to find out, when I go to a Palestinian Authority controlled area. I think I'll find more hate, more extremism and more anger. And I think that what that will show, well, I'll see what I find, yeah? I don't want to predict it, but I think what that will show is that when you have Muslims growing up, living in the state of Israel, you've got 2 million, they're not that full of jihad and hate as much as the ones that are growing up under the Palestinian Authority. That's what I think I'll find. I don't know. But again, I'm here just asking questions. I met an Ethiopian Jewish lady today, lovely, she recognised me. We're told that this is an apartheid state back home. We're also told that black people are treated with racial discrimination. So it's great to ask black people living in the state of Israel and find out that it's the total opposite, it's total nonsense. So I'm just here asking questions. And I think it's important because when lies are told 1 million times or 100,000 times or 1,000 times, they just become matter of fact.
Right.
So genocide, matter of fact. There's no genocide, yeah? All of these different things. So apartheid state, nonsense. I went to meet the Druze community. That video hasn't gone out yet. I went to meet the Druze community to understand that they've rose up to the top of military. They've rose up through the ranks. They're a very well-respected community. They love Israel. They fight for Israel. I went to a community that are 2.5 kilometres from the border, and when many communities left when the northern border, on Lebanese border, they didn't leave. They didn't leave because they said they'd stand and fight for Israel. So I think that there's a lot of information, and I'm reading the comments in my comments to my channel. Most people say I didn't know any of this.
Right.
I didn't know any of this, and it's opened their eyes to Israel. And I've said most people think Israel. I said it's a beautiful country. And for me, value-wise, it's a democracy. It's the only place in the Middle East where all religions have got equal opportunity. So all of the nonsense, and I know that from my last visit here, I asked a lot of questions. I know that I research all these things, and I think that if I'm going to talk about these politics, it would be ignorant for me not to come and ask questions.
Speaking of, I guess, the comments, I also have seen that there's been backlash. Basically just, I think from two sides. On the one hand, I think you have British people who maybe don't necessarily support Israel, but they do support you. And then you've also got British Jews who may not support you. How do you face that criticism? Where do you think it comes from?
I faced criticism for 15 years. Yeah, I faced a lot of hate for 15 years. I faced people who didn't want to listen, who attacked me, who believed the lies about me. And then I've seen a total shift in that. So the truth always prevails. So yeah, I've faced a bit of a backlash from Brits who say, why am I so focused on Israel? Why do I care about Israel? You're being paid by Israel. You're a
That's one that they love. They love that one. The paid.
I don't know if you're seeing it's a very good machine. Again, it's part of a propaganda machine because they make it impossible for anyone to speak up on behalf of Israel or side of Israel or tell the truth about Israel. Because straight away the attack instantly, you're being paid. You got this money. You got £7,000.
You said that in our previous interview that after you did this, you knew that people were going to say, he's a Mossad spy. He's doing all these. That is exactly what happened in that video.
To my detractors, to the people who say these things, if you haven't noticed, I don't care what you say. Yeah, I don't care. Maybe I would have cared, but I don't care because I've gone through a process of hate. I've been targeted. I've been violently attacked. I've faced some people. What you have to understand is I've done all that. Okay, so I'm through that. My skin is tough, but many people's skin's not tough. So to get a commentator or a public profile, someone to tell the truth about Israel or side of Israel, they are going to face a barrage of hate. Yeah? And most people aren't comfortable or up for dealing with that. So I understand why people remain silent on this issue, but I don't want to remain silent. I haven't remained silent. And yeah, the other opposition to me comes from what I can only describe as, I look at what's happening and I look at the online campaign against Israel, against Jews. There's a mass hatred of Jews that's growing.
You're almost experiencing, not as a Jew, but you're seeing the second you're even associated with Jews or with Israel, what that comes with. And I feel like that's a whole new experience within itself.
It's a new experience in itself, but then I also have experienced many lies told about me. And those lies become matter of fact for many years, and I had to walk around and carry those. I'd walk past people and see them look at me and think that you're judging me not on who I am. So I don't mind people judging me on things I've said or things I've done. But most of the time I'm being judged on things that I haven't done and haven't said and don't represent. Yeah. So it's just nonsense, and I don't care. So I feel aggrieved, and I'm impulsive, and I get upset the same as every other person gets upset, and I get defensive. Sometimes maybe I'm too defensive, but because I'm used to being attacked. So when I've seen what's happened to me, I see similar things happen to Jews, state of Israel. And I said the question is, so I'm going to go to Poland after this. I'll go to Poland soon. I'm going to cover their Independence Day. I'm going to report on it. And similar to what I've done here, I'm going to be on the streets. I'm going to be meeting politicians. I'm going to be meeting community leaders, organisers. When I do that for those 3 days, no one is going to make an accusation that I'm being paid or supported by the Polish government. No one. Why not? So why is it that this attack, which is continually seen, I'm going to go to India at some point? No one's going to do that there. In fact, I can talk, and the comments sometimes are, why are you so interested? Look, there's a war going on. Of course I'm interested in Israel. Right. There's a war going on. Of course I am. But the accusations and I'd say the weaponization of that slander and that attack, it's used in order to prevent people speaking.
I want to move more to something positive, and I guess we talked about criticism. Let's go to support. In your event last week on Saturday, I was actually there as well, and you could really see the support coming from not only British Israelis, but also just Israelis, people from all around the world came. How did that feel to kind of see it flip on its head and have people who were like genuinely so happy that you were here?
It's a great feeling for me. It's a beautiful moment for me, actually. And that feeling that's happened there has happened across my own country as well in the last 12 to 18 months. So for me, it's one, for my kids, it's great. Because remember, I've been a figure of, my kids have had to go to school when people were judging me. My kids have not been accepted into communities or groups of friends because of me and what people say about me. That's fully flipped with my kids. One daughter is 14, one is 18. My 18-year-old was isolated, separated, targeted, didn't really have, she was attacked because of me. Yeah. My 14-year-old now, we're 4 years on, all of the children are trying to take photos when they see me. So there's been a change.
Yeah.
And it's happy for me to see the change because my kids know who I am. My kids know the man I am. So they can now see that people are, I'm happy that people are seeing me and not understanding who I am. So it's a nice feeling. I've been shown nothing but love. I can't walk down the street here. It's been a total surprise for me.
Yeah. Not the same at home, or is it kind of shifting now at home?
So what I've experienced here, I've been experiencing for the last 12 months.
Yeah, definite shift.
A massive shift. And I talk about that shift. It's why I comfortably said before September 13th, it's going to be the biggest event Britain's ever seen. Because I walk down the streets and I can't walk down the streets. And everyone talks to me about the event and they're going to do the same. I'm going to plan the next event when I'm home. It's been beautiful. And also the passion in people. You can see what this means to them.
Yeah. I want to ask a little bit just about what happened at the event. I saw this happen, but I want to kind of get your perspective on it. There was somebody who heckled pretty early on. He stood up and said something like, Tommy Robinson is a racist. And then, the crowd was sort of like shushing them and kind of said, shame on you. And I think, they quietened it down in the sense that they in that part, they did that well. But then this person claimed that as he was being escorted out, he was also attacked physically. I feel like, we talk a lot about free speech. It's super important. That should also include...
I'd have rather invited him up onto the stage.
You actually did invite him up. You said, come up.
Come on up here. Because he's not going to have an argument. If we discuss the policies or my views, he's going to lose the argument. But that's a setup. I've looked up who the gentleman is. I've gone through my messages. He's been trying to provoke me for a week. And then he's sent there. And what works, this is where I say about the alliance. Yeah? He makes that comment. And an Israeli paper runs with the headline. Bearing in mind, I give a 2-hour presentation. Some of the things I would have spoke about and highlighted, I look at the media's response and they run Tommy Robinson's called racist and having a terrible event, and it just associating my name with racist in their headline is a victory for them. It's about attacking me, and it's not about anything. If that's not journalism. You've come and sat for 2 hours, listened to a presentation. I've showed evidence of a British gentleman who was persecuted to death, and you haven't mentioned him.
Israel Shalom.
Israel Shalom. You haven't mentioned him. You haven't mentioned anything I've spoke about. You've just took that incident, which was probably coordinated between the two people. The gentleman is friends with the newspaper. I now know that. It's an attack using the media as a weapon. That's not journalism. Now, that gentleman, I would happily debate, sit down and speak to anyone. Yeah? I don't think he should have ever been physically assaulted. But I also understand that with Charlie Kirk's assassination, there's continually encouraged violent attacks against people who, what these media do when they attack us and demonise us and lie about us, is they put a target on us. The same way a target's been put on the Jews in the UK. Yeah? Exactly the same. Innocent people put a target on. You lie about me, you call me all these names, you say I'm all these things, which I'm not, and then you encourage attacks against us. So when I saw someone grab him, I've watched a video afterwards, someone holds him, that's the right thing to have done, because you don't know if he has a weapon, you don't know if he's come in there to commit violence. But if he was attacked, I've just seen someone grab him from behind, then no one should ever be attacked. But at the same time, he should have come and spoke to me.
Let's talk about, I guess, going home. You're here for the next couple of days and then you're back in the UK, right?
Yeah, I'm back in the UK.
What are you going to bring back with you, I guess, to, first of all, just for your platform and I guess British Jews as well?
With British Jews, under our United Kingdom movement, British Jews are British. That's it for me, yeah? Sikhs are British who live in Britain. Hindus are Britain. I want them all to unite. I want them all to come together. I want the establishment to look and understand that the British public, I know the Jewish public have had enough, but the non-Jewish public have had enough. We've all had enough, yeah? And when they all unite together against the establishment's government, like even the recognition of a Palestinian state by Keir Starmer, it's so weak. The timing of it was outrageous. The hostages hadn't been released. It could have even been a bargaining chip that you could have used to get them released. Release them, we'll recognise your state. I might understand that a little bit, but they threw it under the bus. So, and seeing that, and for anyone here, Keir Starmer was voted in off 9 million votes. 20 million people didn't vote. Put it to a public mandate. Ask the British public, do you want to recognise a Palestinian state? I guarantee you it's a resounding no. The British public have had enough of hearing about Palestine and Gaza. Okay, we've had enough. If you look at the statistics of the Christians who are being massacred in Nigeria, that no one talks about. Why not? Why are we not? Why didn't we see the same sort of energy of these protests over the deaths in Yemen? Why not? So I see the total hypocrisy, but I also see a government cowardly surrendering. And also we've seen the football stadium. I want to make something clear about the Tel Aviv fans, because I see now, again, they're trying to weaponise this to turn Tel Aviv's football supporters against me, as though it's my fault they're not getting tickets. It's insane, really. Now, what you have to understand is, give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. They only understand strength. Now, what you've done by saying Tel Aviv fan can't come, they've already said, yeah, well, we don't want the team to come now. The Muslim community are going to come to that area, they're going to protest that stadium. They're not going to be happy until not only Tel Aviv fans can't come, but planes can't enter airports. That's next. What next? So you can't play football there. We don't want your planes coming into this airport when there's such a Muslim demographic. It's weak. You've capitulated to terror. You've capitulated to threats. They should have, if they had to get the military on the streets of Birmingham, then that's what you needed to do. You do not surrender our streets, which is what you've done, because when you do that, you encourage them. And now you're going to encourage them to pick their next target. You need to stand in the face of it. And all I said is, with regards to Tel Aviv, if Tel Aviv fans were able to come, all I would have done was probably travelled here, got on a plane and showed their journey. The reason I want to show their journey is because look at the lies being told about Amsterdam. You've got to defeat those lies. Those smears now. Innocent Jews were hunted down in packs and targeted. Women, children, families were targeted with violence by gangs and mobs of violent criminal youth. But the media now are spinning it. The Muslim politicians who are pro-Hamas are spinning it. They're spinning it as though the Tel Aviv fans are violent hooligans. It's like, no, that's not what happened in Amsterdam. Now, how do you? So when I say I'm going to come, I'd have come to show you what happened. I'd have come to show you actually this is what's happening here. So the media can, because you've got to defeat their weapon, and unfortunately their weapon is, and their target is on Israel Jews, and that's the mainstream media, which is insane, no?
I want to know what's next for you in your journalism.
What's next? My next documentary is against the Labour government. It's going to show the facts. So we had a problem where grooming gangs were not allowed to be spoke about. We got them spoken about, and then they just called them grooming gangs. Then they said Asian grooming gangs. So the Overton window is continually shifted. They're not Asian grooming gangs, okay? Because that would include Sikhs and Hindus who are victims of the gangs, yeah? They're Muslim grooming gangs. That's the reality. They're Muslim grooming gangs. They started calling them Pakistani grooming gangs. No, they're not Pakistani grooming gangs, okay? The majority are Pakistani, because the majority of the Muslims in the UK are Pakistani. They are Muslim grooming gangs. Now, what the public needs to know is they are Labour's Muslim grooming gangs. So my next documentary looks, and what I found out already with my research and interviews so far, it's insane, yeah? The influence and the level of involvement the Labour Party had in these gangs. And the reason that our generation of our daughters were allowed to be raped is the same reason that Labour just recognised the Palestinian state. Because they do not want to upset their next bloc vote. They want to keep power, and to keep power, they don't care about those kids getting raped. They don't care about the state of Israel. They don't care about jihad. They don't care about synagogues getting attacked. They care about power. Now they know, unfortunately for the Jewish community, you are now in a position that I knew I was in 15 years ago, 20 years ago. I looked at the demographics in Luton. As an Englishman, we're a minority. As a white Englishman, we're a minority. And in 2013, I looked at the demographical change by 2030. But the projected government growth forecast demographical change, and by 2030 the Pakistani and Bangladeshi community were going to increase by 70 to 77%. Now that shift, our community, black community, 1.2 to 1.4, that change is the reason that Labour don't care about us. The Jewish community make up how many? 300,000 in Britain?
Yeah, it's pretty small.
You're not going to keep them in power. Yeah. So who's going to swing the vote for them? The 6 million Muslims. Yeah. Now the 6 million Muslims is going to become 12 million Muslims. 300,000 Jews is going to become 150,000 Jews. So it's going to get a lot worse. The capitulation and the appeasement is going to get a lot worse for all of us unless we become such a community in the vote bank politics as well, and the establishment realise that they need to address what we want as the British people.
When is that due to come out?
When is that due to come out? Well, I'm in court on the 4th of November for sentencing. I may be in prison for Christmas. Yeah, again insane. It's just insane. So I need to get back. I believe we've just had a court case before come out here. I believe I'll get that. We proved categorically it's not guilty. We proved that they've weaponised the law again. It's corrupt judiciary. So we'll see. And then I just need to get back to work. So I'll do that when I get back. Well, once my court case is out, I'm going to get back and spend some time with my children in case I do go to jail. As soon as court's done, I'll be back at work.
Tommy, thank you so much for sitting with us again, and
thank you.
I wish you a safe flight back.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you.